season of ebbs and flows, but to lose 3 kind of tough ones in a row, to come home and kind of take care of business, just to do that, and then in the manner in terms of the ball distribution and kind of some balanced scoring.
I think it's important for us as NBA players and as an NBA team to understand sometimes that's just the way it is. I thought the Orlando game, we didn't play a bad game, but offensively we just, they disrupted us and we still found ourselves with a chance to win, came up short. And then the next one with Cleveland, you're playing against, the best team in the league right now. We had some lapses and they took advantage of it, and it was just a game that got away from us. And then, I thought we played a really solid game in Indiana, and you saw the type of play that it took for us to lose, and there was mistakes that we made, things that we could have done better to close it out. And I think it just becomes a mental game at that point. That's where you got to show that we're a veteran team. You got to be able to move on, from those moments where it's like, man, if we would have done this, we would have done that, we win for sure 2 out of those 3 games. But I think we showed our maturity. We showed what a veteran team should show. We came out tonight. Obviously, Luka is a all-time scorer, and I thought we just kept staying true to our game plan. And last game the ball moved well, and tonight we kind of stuck to that and we trusted. And I think when you're able to deal with some tough nights and some tough losses and I guess be true to doing things the right way, eventually it'll come back. And I thought tonight, even though Bron didn't play, still a capable team, we did the right thing and we was able to win it pretty handily.
You met with the ball movement. You had 6 assists in the first quarter. Yeah. I think Brooke had 11. Just that tone set. I mean, you guys had a size advantage to begin with, but to your playmaking there, what did you maybe see in that first quarter and wanting to maybe set that kind of tone?
I just wanted to get into the paint. Watching film, I think they got a lot of size, and they got some athletes in the paint, and a lot of teams that have that, they're aggressive up front. Once you can get kind of into the paint and break the defense down and kick it out and get moving, it's that second and third side or that second and third pass where you're gonna get a clean opportunity. So for me, I just wanted to get into the paint, make them have to help, cause a reaction, and then just find the next guy. And if there was a closeout there on those ones, we was able to find the next guy after that, and usually that was kind of where we got our cleanest looks. But for me, a lot of those assists were just getting in the paint, and the first guy that came open, I saw where the help was coming from, and I was hitting them. We made shots, and then there was other times I did the same thing, and that play led to them making the next play for somebody else. And I think that style of play is contagious. Everybody's involved, everybody's getting opportunities, and it's also hard for teams to defend like that. And if they want to stay home and not allow our shooters to get those shots, that's when, myself and Giannis got even more space to play and I guess, score more.
You mentioned Luka. He kept them connected, and along with others, but he was just the volume, the pace he was scoring at, just what made him kind of difficult tonight, at least in the first, 2.5 quarters where he kind of kept them, within shouting distance.
I mean, he's an elite player. He's makes threes off the bounce. He's drawing fouls. I think that's what makes it even more difficult because you want to be physical. You don't want to let him go where he want to go. You want to kind of dictate to him as a defender, but each bump and each reach, he's manipulating the game and, kind of putting pressure on the referees to make those calls. So he's taking that physicality away from the defense, drawing fouls. He's shooting threes. He's, looking off the weak side, making plays. And you got to give him a lot of attention. And I think without Bron out there, that was to be expected. It was going to be pretty much how he played in Dallas. And that was how he came out. I just think for us, you just got to continue to apply pressure. And as somebody who's been in a situation like that, at a time in my career, I know that it's hard to sustain that over the course of a game, against a good team. So we just had to keep coming, and I think eventually, you're not gonna keep making all of those shots. You're not gonna be able to, beat a good team that way, on most nights.
On a bit of a somber note, I wanted to hear kind of your perspective on the legacy that Junior Bridgeman leaves, not just for players across the league, but also specifically here in Milwaukee and for this team, knowing what he meant to the franchise.
Yeah, I mean, a lot. I think when you look at the history of our league, it's a lot of guys you think of for reasons on the court, for things off the court, in the community. There's a lot of guys that you can look at for certain things. And I think for him, a guy that, had a career in the NBA, wasn't a guy whose name jumped off the page, as a player for everybody. But then to move on from being an NBA player and have the type of success that he had, as a businessman and just being a successful man outside of that, I think that just means a lot. It shows a lot for guys that are in the league that aspire to do other things and want to be in a different lane, and they can still be something more than just an NBA player. So I think his legacy is held in high regard. Even before he became part of our ownership group, I was very aware of who he was. And it's just a tough loss, not only on Milwaukee, but on the NBA brotherhood. And, it's just really unfortunate.
Wanted to ask you about Kuzma. He took on the assignment of guarding Luka tonight for most of the game, kind of the first quarter or so. Just what you see from him taking on that assignment, and just is that the kind of role and thing that you guys are going to need from him, I guess, going forward?
I think for us, Kuz is a guy that, we're just going to be plugging him in a lot of different situations because of, the versatility. Being able to put him on somebody like Luka because of his size and the energy that he plays with, being able to allow him to handle the ball and facilitate our offense, kicking it up to him in transition. I mean, we look at him for a lot of things, and I think that's the value of us bringing him here. But I think he's a guy that embraces it. I've heard him in other nights where, Giannis might be guarding, somebody, Siakam or whatever the matchup might be, and he'll be running down the court like, let me take him, and, he'll point Giannis to somebody else to kind of we don't want you having to work and chase this dude around like I'm going to take him. So I think he's come here with the mentality of y'all can plug me in wherever that I can help the team. And I think tonight was exactly what that was. Obviously, he had 45 points, but it's tough when you got to work hard for it, and you got a guy that's your size on your body all night, contesting your shots all night. It's hard to do that for a full game, regardless of what the stat sheet shows. I think a big part of us winning the game by 20 points was because of his presence and his consistent effort, and other guys too.
You guys obviously sit next to each other in the locker room. I think I've just seen you guys sometimes talking. I don't know if it's about the game or such, but he said that you guys' communication, you and Giannis specifically, to just for him, has been helpful as far as being specific about what you need from him, what you want from him. Just kind of curious how those conversations have gone from you. What kind of things have you expressed to him as far as how to maximize each other on the court, or just how has getting to know him as the basketball player, how has that conversation gone?
I think most of it has just been getting to know each other more than anything. I think that's the first step to, I guess, welcoming somebody and being able to form a real relationship is getting to know each other. And like you said, we sit right next to each other. When he first got on the team, it was I feel like on our team, I feel like I've hung out with him as much as anybody, and he just got here because it's just we get on the road, it's what you doing for dinner? What you about to do? And we've been around each other. So we interact a lot. A lot of it has been just friendly, getting to know each other better. And then as far as basketball, it's just been one thing I've always done when a new player has come to any team I was on is I try to embrace them and be part of them feeling free as soon as possible, So with him, I'm just constantly telling him, if you get a rebound, don't feel like you got to turn and look for me, or don't turn and, look to Giannis. Obviously, if you see Giannis ahead or me ahead and it's the right play, then make it, but don't feel obligated to do it. You know, like he's good in transition. He sees the game well, and you want him to feel comfortable. You want him to have some rhythm, and you want him to be able to get himself going and play his game as well. And that's kind of been the conversation. Like, you know, don't be out here feeling like you got to think too much. Just go, you know, attack. And, you know, we're going to go from there. But that's really been it.
Hey, Dame, along those same lines, just how has your relationship with Jericho grown? And just talk about the trust you have to throw up lobs like that and for him to have the height to slam it down like that.
I think that's another guy who I've had a lot of dialogue with. You know, I remember I think we was playing Minnesota like right before the All-Star break, and I didn't play in that game. And we was both in there lifting at the same time. It was just us. And I was like, man, do you ever talk? Like, and he just started smiling, and he was like, yeah, I do. I was like, I've never even heard you talk. Like, you've been here a couple of days. And I asked him, like, what do you go by? Like, I'm not about to be calling you Jericho every time I call your name. And he was like, you know, J-Rock, Jumpman. And I was like, I would never call you Jumpman. It's one Jumpman that I'm going to acknowledge as Jumpman. And we laughed about it. And that was kind of like the icebreaker, you know. From then on, I just been in consistent conversations with him, you know, in practice and games, just in the locker room, just stuff like that. So I think, like I said, when you kind of establish like that, that foundation of what could be a friendship, I guess, you know, to a teammate, it makes it easier to be on the floor and interact and kind of get on the same page.
Dane, back here. I'm not sure how much of the standings you kind of watch in that sense, but just wondered if you had any thoughts about the opportunity to kind of win the season series with the Pacers, with them right behind you guys in the Eastern.
Yeah, I mean, we came into the game a couple of days ago like, man, we could just get this done. This will be, you know, this count for two. You know, this is a great opportunity for us, and we was in position to do it. We didn't, and now we got another opportunity on our home floor to kind of wrap up that season series, and it's a big game for us. It's a, you know, opportunity for us to do ourselves a favor at this point, and especially looking at the standings and wanting to have home court to start the playoffs. So it's a big game, and we gotta come correct and be ready to get it done.